So in these strange and uncertain times of Corona, I wanted to just think with you about the sort of things that will help you and your children keep happy, keep healthy, and look after your mental health in the coming weeks. I think it's worth noticing that most of us are feeling a little bit scared, quite uncertain. We don't know what's going to happen. Everything seems to be changing. We don't know which way to turn to get advice or help. And I just think this is probably what most of our children are feeling most of the time. And we may well look back on this period and go, oh my God, that gives me a darn sight better insight into what my child has been feeling all of their life with us. So when we're feeling uncertain and scared and confused, one of the best things to do is to get a routine and stick to it. So I'm thinking sit down with your children, depending on their age, and think with them about what we're all going to need to do to make this strange time okay for us. Do have a routine, do have a getting up time and an expectation that they come down for meals and they get dressed and that they do activities. Try and include in each day some exercise, something creative, some schoolwork, bit of time on their own, time on their tablet, but also time for some laughter and some fun, because those are two things that will inoculate your children and yourself against the stress, which is going to be one of the most difficult parts of living with Corona. Think back to the sort of things, if you're as old as me, that you used to do at parties, playing games like musical bumps, doing papier-mâché, wink murder, all those silly games where you can laugh and giggle. Those are fantastic for counteracting the stress that we're all facing. Remember, bedtimes are a really important time, and I would stick to a bedtime through this period, even though they might think they're on holiday and don't need any bedtimes. Maybe let them stay up a bit later, because it is exceptional times, but do make sure they get to bed. You will need your time when they're in bed, and they will also need their rest as well. Stress is very tiring, and this will not help anybody in your household if people are tired and irritable. And I guess my last thing is to be flexible. Try to avoid those points of conflict. If you know there are points of conflict, when you're sitting down and working out what are we all going to need to do to make this strange time work, what are going to be the house rules, how are we going to manage if we get cross and we can't go outside. Be flexible, and the things that you know are points of argument, points of conflict, see if you can just set those aside for this period. That might mean you have to compromise on some of the things that you have held very dear before. Don't compromise on safety. Don't compromise on things like children hurting each other. Those are non-negotiables, but things like whether or not they can watch extra TV, whether or not they can have their phone upstairs, whether or not they can spend an extra period of time on their Xbox. Those are probably the things that you need to be thinking about compromising on and letting them do a little bit more of, because all of us need to do a little bit more of the stuff we like when we're feeling worried and stressed. Keep safe, keep well, keep talking to each other, and I will speak to you soon.